Are you dreaming of visiting Switzerland? Planning a trip to Switzerland is very exciting, but it can also be overwhelming. How do you choose which of the many scenic cities, towns and villages to visit? Which mountaintop excursions should you take? And what's the best way to get around Switzerland? And of course, how much of the country can you realistically see within your time frame? If you've asked yourself any of these questions, this is the podcast for you. This is the Holidays to Switzerland travel podcast, and in each episode, your host Carolyn Schonnefinger chats with Swiss travel experts to answer your most commonly asked questions, provide practical tips, and take you on a virtual visit to the most popular destinations, and of course some hidden gems to help you plan your dream trip to Switzerland. And you'll hear plenty of conversations about Swiss cheese and chocolate too. Are you ready to plan your trip to Switzerland? Well, let's get started.
Hi there, and welcome to another episode of the Holidays to Switzerland podcast. I'm your host, Carolyn, and I'm thrilled to have you with us here today. For many folks, no visit to Switzerland is complete without enjoying a scenic train ride, and there are certainly plenty of those to choose from. Today, we're chatting about the Luzern Interlaken Express, one of the shorter but absolutely spectacular routes that are classified as premium panoramic journeys. As the name suggests, this train line connects the popular destinations of Lucerne and Interlaken, making it the perfect way to travel between the two. And because it's a relatively short journey, it can be experienced even if you only have a short amount of time to spend in Switzerland. The Luzern Interlaken Express can be enjoyed as a one-off train trip, or it can form part of a multi-day train itinerary, such as the Grand Train Tour of Switzerland. The choice is totally yours. And the journey is fully covered by a number of Swiss rail passes, all of which you can buy from our web shop at holidaystoswitzerland.com/shop. My guest today is Chris Rigert, who was born and bred in Lucerne and has a passion for promoting this beautiful region. He's going to tell us everything we need to know about this scenic journey, including the trip highlights, which side of the train to sit on, details about taking luggage on board, and much more. I hope you enjoy the episode. Hello, Chris. Thank you very much for agreeing to come onto the podcast.
Thank you, Caroline. Thank you for the invitation.
My pleasure. Now, I'm really looking forward to hearing all about your job and the beautiful trains that you represent. But before we get into that, could you just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background in the Swiss tourism industry?
Yeah, for sure. I'm Chris Rigert, born and raised in Lucerne. I used to study tourism in Lucerne, where a lot of my classmates still work in the industry, and it's always great to catch up with them. And after my studies, I worked for several years as an event manager in a hotel at the shore of the Lake Lucerne before I became sales manager with Pilatus Railways. And since February, I work with the Central Bahn, where I'm in the sales team with Stefan Pfister, and we both promote the Luzern Interlaken Express in different markets all over the world.
Fantastic. Well, it's definitely a great product, and I actually had the pleasure of meeting you in person last year when you were still working at Mount Pilatus. So another great product that you've had the opportunity to represent to the world. So how lucky are you?
Yeah, it's a very, very nice products in Switzerland and also in the area of central Switzerland, well, also, of course, in the Berner Oberland. And yeah, it's just stunning with all the lakes and mountains and landscapes in Switzerland. I really love to represent the tourism industry all over the world.
Yeah, it's certainly a beautiful part of the world, that's for sure. So for those people that are listening who are perhaps familiar with the name Lucerne Interlaken Express, which is one of the trains that your company runs, I guess, can you tell us exactly what the Lucerne Interlaken Express is?
Yes, the Luzern Interlaken Express is a premium panoramic train line connecting the top destinations Lucerne and Interlaken. So during a scenic train ride of less than 2 hours, the passengers will marvel at 5 crystal clear mountain lakes, that gather the waters from various rivers and waterfalls.
Yeah, I've been lucky enough to travel on this line numerous times, and I have to say, and I hope some of the other premium panoramic train reps aren't listening, but I think it is probably the most picturesque. I just love all the lakes and the mountains, and it's so spectacular. So what would you say are the highlights of the journey?
Yeah, definitely the ride along the shores of the 5 crystal clear lakes, but also the waterfalls you will find in the area of Lungen, Meiringen, and Lake of Brienz. And in winter, you will find snow, especially in the area of Brünig, where the train goes up to more than 1,000 meters above sea level.
Yeah, it's definitely a spectacular ride. Now, some people that have heard of the train and they know about the lakes, they might look on a map and say, okay, if we're going from Lucerne to Interlaken, we're going to have the Lungerer See, which is very famous on social media, on the right-hand side, and then we're going to have Lake Brienz on the left-hand side. So which side of the train should they sit on? Because there's actually a bit of a trick there, isn't there?
Yeah, there is actually a trick, because the trick is actually in Meiringen, where the train turns. So it's definitely recommended to sit on the right-hand side of the train. So you have the lakes always on the right-hand side. And because the train turns in Meiringen, in the middle station, you have also Lake of Brienz on the right-hand side. So it's definitely worth to know and to book a seat on the right-hand side.
That's right. So just to explain for those people who are not sure what we mean here, rather than actually the train going through the station at Meiringen, I guess you could explain it as, the train goes into Meiringen and then it comes out the same way that it went in, because the track then turns in the other direction.
Exactly, yeah.
Perfect. So we're sitting on the right-hand side of the train, regardless of whether we leave from Lucerne or Interlaken, to get those fabulous close-up lake views. And I have been lucky enough to sit on the right, and you put your iPhone up on the window, right flat up against the window, you could actually get some pretty good photos without any glare. So it's well worth it. You mentioned there about booking a seat on the right-hand side. Is it actually mandatory to make seat reservations on the train?
No, it's not. But for groups of 10 and more, it's compulsory to book seats in advance. So then we can make sure the group is allocated all together. But for FIT travelers, we recommend booking a seat prior to departure, especially during peak season and peak times in the morning and in the evening. But also, of course, to make sure that you have a seat on the right-hand side because of the lake views, of course.
Okay. And so where do people make those seat reservations?
The seat reservations, they can book directly with us on our website, centralbahn.ch, centralbahn with a Z in the beginning. Yeah.
Okay, great. Now, I guess people can obviously on your website or at the station before they board the train, they can just buy a ticket for that journey. But a lot of our listeners buy a rail pass when they come to Switzerland. So which of the rail passes fully cover the journey on the Luzern Interlaken Express?
The Swiss Travel Pass and Eurail covers the ticket price of the Luzern Interlaken Express, but not the seat booking. So this is separate to purchase separate, but the ticket price is included. Yeah.
Okay. And what about the regional passes? I believe the Tell Pass and the Berner Oberland Pass also cover the journey.
Exactly. Yeah. It also covers. Yeah.
Okay, great. So for people that have a rail pass, they can rest easy that the journey on the train is covered, but they will need to make seat reservations separately if they want to guarantee a window seat or a seat on the right-hand side of the train.
Yes.
Okay, so what sort of facilities are available on board the train? You mentioned that the journey time is just under 2 hours. Can people buy food and drinks, and what sort of other things can they expect on board?
Yes. So we have a first and a second class on board, where you'll find more space in the first class. However, the size of the panoramic windows are the same and the view is not less stunning in the second class. And in the middle of the train, there is also a restaurant where you can grab refreshments, but also get amazed by the local and seasonal meals we serve. And our trains are wheelchair accessible and offer restrooms.
Oh, fantastic. So what about luggage? Because many of the people listening to this podcast will be going on the trip as part of their big Swiss vacation, and they're no doubt going to have luggage with them. Is there very much room to store their luggage in the carriages?
Yes, with the growing demand, we even have extended the luggage area. And as our trains are wheelchair accessible, it's also convenient bringing suitcase on board. Yeah, and there we extended this luggage area as well.
That's great to know. So some of the premium panoramic trains have quite limited services every day. What about the Luzern Interlaken Express?
As we belong to the government and also offer to the public the transportation from Lucerne to Interlaken to commute for the local people, we have actually 29 departures every day, all year round. So it's very easy to find a suitable departure. So we have hourly departures from 6 o'clock in the morning until 8 o'clock in the evening in both directions.
Okay, so there should never be any problem finding a seat on board. Fantastic. Now, the Lucerne Interlaken Express, it connects the two cities that you mentioned, Lucerne and Interlaken. And in Interlaken, people can then join the Golden Pass Express. And this two routes together form what's known as the Golden Pass line. So if someone is planning to do both of those journeys in the same day, is there anything particular that they need to know?
It's the Golden Pass line is the entire route from Lucerne via Interlaken to Montreux. So the guests need to change the platform in Interlaken, but there is enough time actually. So there is 10 to 15 minutes in between, so the guests can easily find the next departure platform. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a very smooth and easy connection.
Yes.
As we have come to expect with the Swiss rail network, of course.
Yes, and the train station in Interlaken is not that big, so they have just a few platforms, so it's very easy to find the right one.
Right. Now, Zentralbahn also operates another train, well, many trains, no doubt, but another one we're going to mention is the Lucerne Engelberg Express. What can you tell us about this particular train journey?
Lucerne Engelberg Express is the most convenient way to reach Engelberg by public transport. So even it does not belong to the premium panoramic train lines, you can enjoy scenic landscape and find panoramic windows in the first class. It takes only 33 minutes from Lucerne to Engelberg. Then with another 25 minutes, you can already reach the top of Mount Titlis. So the only mountain in central Switzerland where you will find snow all year round. So we run the Lucerne Engelberg Express as well. And then you can change in Engelberg to Titlis cableways to the top of Mount Titlis.
Okay, and that's a very regular service too, is it? The Lucerne Engelberg Express?
Yes, it has also hourly departures, also from the mornings in the evenings as well. Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So what would be your top tips for anyone planning to enjoy a ride on either the Lucerne Interlaken Express or the Lucerne Engelberg Express?
I really like the Luzern Interlaken Express because of the 5 lakes, and it's very convenient. So if you are a guest and just want to explore Switzerland, you can easily combine the Luzern Interlaken Express. When you arrive in Zurich, then you can just get on the train in Lucerne and enjoy a scenic panoramic train ride to Interlaken. So you have a load of opportunities in Lucerne, but also in Interlaken and along the train line. Yeah, if you'd like to go to Engelberg and experience this area, it's very nice in wintertime, so you can go ski there. And in summertime, there are a lot of hiking routes as well. So also for the Lucerne Engelberg Express, there are also an offer for families. They have like a game on the train journey to Engelberg. So there is a riddle to solve, and so it's also very nice for families.
Excellent. Very good. Well, I'll include a link in the show notes to the Zentralbahn website so that anyone wanting to make those seat reservations can do so. I'll also put links to where our listeners can buy any of those rail passes we mentioned that include the journey within the pass. And that also, most of those passes also include the Lucerne Engelberg Express as well. So that's another great thing to know. Thank you very much, Chris, for sharing all that info with us today. As I mentioned earlier, I do think it's the Lucerne Interlaken Express is one of, if not the most scenic of the premium panoramic train rides. That's my humble opinion. So I encourage anyone who's going to Switzerland and visiting either of those two popular destinations to make sure they include a ride on the train in their itinerary.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Yeah, for all the audience, let's come to Switzerland and enjoy the stunning nature and the landscape.
That's right. And you can do that all year round, which is absolutely fantastic.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Chris. I can confidently say that whichever direction you travel in, the journey on the Lucerne Interlaken Express will take your breath away. The trip is just under 2 hours, and it goes so fast as you gaze in awe at the rolling hills, glimpse mountain peaks, marvel at the engineering feats as you cross the Brunig Pass, and are mesmerised by waterfalls and the turquoise water of 5 lakes. This really is a train ride you won't forget. As Chris mentioned, the Lucerne Interlaken Express is fully covered with the Swiss Travel Pass, the Eurail Global Pass, the Berner Oberland Pass, and the TEL Pass. And the trip is also included in many of the rail packages offered by our partner Switzerland Travel Centre. These packages, which include rail travel and accommodation, are perfect if you don't have the time or the inclination to plan everything yourself. And if you book one of the rail vacations and use our code HTSwiss, you'll get 5% off. How good's that? You'll find links to buy rail passes and to view the different rail packages in the show notes for this episode, as well as a link to our article about the Lucerne Interlaken Express. The article includes a step-by-step guide to making seat reservations should you wish to do this. I hope you've enjoyed hearing all about the Lucerne Interlaken Express in today's episode. If you have, I'd be really grateful if you could spare a minute or two to leave a 5-star rating or a review on your favourite podcast app. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to chatting to you again next time. Until then, tschüss!